Hi friends, I'm Amanda. It is so good to be back with you. I feel like I am coming out of hibernation. Every year I hit this real low point in the deep dark winter, but as the sunshine comes back, I feel like I come alive again. I truly love summer. I love the long days. I love the fresh produce. I even love the heat. I have my summer uniform, my shorts and my tank top. I love the water. I want to be at the beach or the pool all the time. But one of the other things that I love about summer is that it feels like there are more last minute activities available with less planning required. So you know how there's the whole spectrum of organizing personalities? If you're a Myers-Briggs person, you know what I'm talking about. There's the super planners on this end. That's my friend who has a spreadsheet with all of the summer activities available from her community and her church so she doesn't miss a single registration deadline. And then you've got my husband, who's a super extrovert. He doesn't want to miss a minute of fun. So he invites our friends over for cookouts. He organizes fishing trips. And then you have me. I get to ride on his coattails. I get to do all the fun things. But when I have been I've overdone it, I can go read my book in the sunshine and I feel like I can recharge. And then you have the super flexible people down here. Well, when I worked full time in an office, that gave me all the structure I needed and more. So I wanted my summer hours to be so free and flexible. I loved that I could just come home and choose whatever I wanted to do. So when I shifted from being in a desk job to taking care of my 2 kids and doing some freelancing at home, I was so pumped that now I had summer like a kid had summer. I have the whole summer wide open to me. And I was super grateful to be able to be at a park in the middle of the day when I would have been typing at my computer in the virtual dark before. It's awesome. But I was still trying to approach summer like Amanda, who's only in charge of herself, would. Let the day unfold as it will. But once you build a family, it turns out you have all these other little people who have different expectations and different approaches. And as the parents, we're in charge of overseeing the summer in a way that provides the right balance for your own family culture. So what I found out for our family was that I had children that were more like their dad, especially our firstborn. He thrives in knowing the routine and the schedule. He still does. And when there isn't one, he asks me 10,000 questions. From morning until night, I had at the time a 3-year-old and then a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old who was asking me, what are we doing next? And where are we going? And can we invite a friend? And when will they be here? And can we stop at Mimi's house in between? And could we go to a park? And what is for dinner? And can we have a different snack? And when my kids have constant questions, I feel so crabby. I didn't have enough answers, and it felt like so much work to plan and arrange the summer that they imagined. Why couldn't they just love summer free-spirited like I did? I also felt so discouraged because I was so short with them, and I was frustrated with myself that I wasn't setting us up for success. I did know objectively that as the adult, I was setting the tone for our day, and I wanted that to be one that reflected the fruits of the Spirit from Galatians 5. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control in me. I realized that in order to get my own attitude and heart in the right place, I needed to change my expectations. For now, my kids are dependent on me to oversee the plans. I have the food. I have the money. I have the car to get us to the park. I even have the phone to arrange playdates with other parents. I'm the gatekeeper right now. So if I'm going to be frustrated with them every time they ask me for information, I am going to be frustrated all of the time. So it meant that I had to develop some planning skills that are not my natural tendency for the benefit of my very favorite people. And let me be clear, that does not mean entertaining my kids 24/7. I want them to play in the yard and invent their own games and use lulls in the day to figure out how to get creative and check in with the neighbor kids. That's an important skill for sure, but the bottom line is that my kids needed me to step up my game. And I will pause to say, if you're one of those super planners, I want to be you when I grow up. But you may be experiencing similar stressors on the opposite end of this spectrum. The ultra-organized people usually end up with at least one kid that prefers a slower pace. So while you may be ready to do all the fun things all of the time, you may find yourself frustrated that you have that one kid that's slow to get ready to leave the house, or they're complaining when there's another activity to dash to. So you may be learning that you need to develop some pausing skills that aren't your natural tendency. Again, the bottom line is that when you're part of a family, you make compromises for the health of the whole group. If it's possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone, Romans 12:18, even your kids that are wired differently than you. So I'm all about the practical stuff. I have tried lots of approaches, and honestly, summer planning is a moving target. There are things that worked last year that probably won't work this year because my kids are a year older. You do have to hold your plans real loosely and be able to pivot when something isn't working. But I'm here to give you my very best tips for having your best summer yet. I see it as two big chunks. The first is the planning, and the second is the buy-in from your crew, from your team. So, the planning, part one. I would highly encourage you to go analog. Print a paper calendar for your family summer. So normally I use my phone to keep my calendar, and that works great in the structure of the school year when we have some really consistent scheduling. But having a paper one helps me view the summer as a whole. So since the summer is way more sporadic, you can find ways to start to see chunks of time, right? And there are all kinds of calendars available online. You don't need to buy something. It's free to just print. I like to have 1 month per page. This physical calendar is also going to come in handy later because it's something that you can post on the wall so that your kids have an idea of what's coming up. So you know that visual, you've probably seen it before, where someone shows you a jar and a bunch of different sized rocks and is like, how can you possibly fit all these things into the jar? Well, the only way is to start with the big rocks and then the medium and then the small, and you like fill in the sand around it, and you can cram a lot of wonderful things into this small space. Well, that is how I plan our calendar. I start by filling in the big stuff that's locked in. That's stuff like vacations we've already scheduled, family reunions, a wedding we need to attend. We can't move those dates. Next, I'm going to look at the medium-sized rock things, the commitments that impact your family hours, typically nights and weekends. And if you're married, take even just a half hour to talk through these decisions with your spouse so you're on the same page, because you likely have different desires of what level of commitment you'd like to have for your summer as well. So regular commitments would include things like sports that might take up multiple nights a week. It also includes trips that are still flexible, like you're trying to plan. Maybe it's something for your whole family, or maybe it's a one-off, like a guy's weekend or a girl's weekend. So see how you can fit these things into your schedule in a way that you will both feel good about. In our case, we have 3 kids. Now they are 10, 8, and almost 6. We physically cannot get them to high demand activities, like all 3 of them in the same season. And honestly, I'm just not my best self as a person or a mom when I have too many evenings that feel chaotic. So for now, we've chosen to do rec sports, which are lower cost and lower commitment. We love that our kids get the benefit of being part of a team, and we like being outside. We get to cheer them on. It's a good way for us to limit screen time. The list goes on, but we just can't get everybody to all the places and feel like our family has a good balance. Maybe it'll change in the future when they're older and they have sort of had some like special focuses rise to the surface. But for now, Ryan and I are on the same page, and then it makes it really easy when our kids are asking about like adding other activities to our schedule, why we say yes to some things and why we say no to others. As far as trips are concerned, I have found that the summer calendar helps me mentally prepare for family travel, but even more than that, I told you, Ryan's got all the fun things planned. So he has, for example, an August fishing trip. It rolls around every year. It shouldn't be a surprise to me. I agreed to it. In theory, I'm cool with it, but August feels very far away when we talk about it in January, and it still feels pretty far away when we talk about it in May. But when I am able to look at the summer calendar papers and see that it's coming up, I think, oh, I should sign my kids up for a community activity or schedule some play dates while he's gone. And if I was really smart, I would organize a babysitter to come one night so that I could go out with girlfriends or something. So I don't let it sneak up on me anymore, and that really helps both of us feel good about where the calendar is at. Okay, so after you've done all your big stuff, the immovable things, and the sort of medium, consistent commitments that you have done as a team, now it's your little filler stuff. It's your daytime things if you are the one who's home keeping your kids occupied. For us, my husband works during the day and I'm in charge of the kids during the day, but I also have client work to do, which used to be able to do that all at night. Now it's increasingly creeping into the daytime. So I have to make some choices about how I sign my kids up for activities in order to get my work done. But I also know that we need friends. If you would check out the last time I shared, I talked about friendship flux. we need community. We're designed for it. And I could schedule 40 playdates for my kids, or I could sign up for a kids subgroup and know that they will see the same friends each week. I will take the subgroup 10 times out of 10. Now, you may experience what I did last year, and that was that I could find a group that worked for some of my kids, but not for all of them at the same time. So perhaps that means that you consider starting a group that makes sense for your family's schedule and your kids' age range. As I shared before, last summer we ended up coordinating a weekly beach meetup with some friends so that our kids' subgroup was the same families hanging out regularly. It built relationships for us. It gave some consistency to our weekly routine. And then we really looked forward to seeing them at church on Sundays. Another idea is to connect with a mom friend who has kids that do well with yours. Ask her if she would want to do something consistent, like a weekly meetup. Maybe every Tuesday you meet at a park. This could give you some rhythm as well. My kids are getting older. Like I said, they're elementary school age. So as that has been happening, I've been thinking more and more about mentors and how I can help my kids have meaningful voices in their lives. I love Psalm 145, verse 4. It says, "One generation shall commend your works to another and shall declare your mighty acts." So if I want my kids to hear about the benefits of walking with Jesus from more people than just their dad and me, I realize summer is a great time. They have more availability. There's more flexibility with the other people, adults that we love and trust in our lives. So it's a perfect time to connect with grandparents who live nearby. It could even be like a favorite babysitter that your daughter really looks up to, or a young adult niece or nephew. Consider asking if they'd be willing to schedule just a short quality time outing with your child if you paid for the ice cream date. When my husband was growing up, his grandparents actually started this tradition where they took each of their grandchildren on a special day. So that kid got to choose the activity, where to eat lunch, and in their case, they even got to select a small toy within a budget. And Ryan's mom has continued that with our kids. It really means a lot to them. They get to have that one-on-one attention. It really builds them up. And one of the things I had been thinking about for the summer is like, wow, my dad really enjoys biking, and my kids are getting old enough that they could go on longer rides. Maybe I could ask my dad if he'd be willing to schedule like a monthly biking date for him and my oldest. That would feel, I think, like less pressure for grandparents when you're not asking them to like babysit your whole brood at once, but instead inviting them into a closer like relationship with one grandkid at a time. And it doesn't have to be an all-day thing. So all of this is the prep work. The adults have made decisions about the summer commitments and the parameters. Now it's time to pull the kids in. This is the fun part. So you're getting their buy-in. What we do is we have a summer kickoff meeting as a family. My parents did this when we were growing up, and it was always really fun. And we did our first real summer meeting last year, but you could do it with younger kids too. Just you will adjust how much information you're sharing. So the summer meeting has 3 goals. 1 is to get excited together about your plans. 2 is to set expectations for the summer, and 3 is to brainstorm together to fill in the gaps. So it's up to you when you want to have the meeting. You could wait until you have the last day of school as your true kickoff. You could do it a little earlier if you wanted to prep your kids in advance. Regardless of when it happens, it's supposed to be fun. Emphasis on summer, de-emphasis meeting. Have your summer meeting over your first ice cream date of the season or over Saturday pancakes, whatever you do, get your kids involved. And while you're enjoying your treat of choice, talk through the calendar. And this is the time to hang the calendar somewhere where everyone can see it and they can check it going forward. Talk about the things you're looking forward to, not just that you're going to a cabin. Ask everybody, what do you love about when we go to the cabin? Swimming, seeing cousins, visiting the candy store, whatever it is, get everyone talking and excited. And when your kids learn to read, this is a game changer. They will be able to get so many of their questions answered when they can go to a paper calendar and look. But even if you have non-readers, you could create some like color coding so that you know green means we're going to church or orange means we have t-ball. So next, you're going to set expectations for the summer. For us, that's reiterating expectations like you make your bed, you hang up your towel if you take a shower, brushing your teeth. We also talk about like what are the screen time rules going to be now that we're not in school. And I know this feels like an opportunity to implement like a whole new world, your new chore chart and the educational sheets you're going to require your kids to do every day. But I just am encouraging you to like dial it down, because when I treat the first day of summer like the first day of January, our resolutions usually go by the wayside real fast. So This summer, I want to prioritize getting back on track for us to read one page of our family devotional each day and to continue reading a certain number of minutes each day, because that's an important part of where our kids are at with school. So lastly, at the summer meeting, it's your chance to brainstorm together what else would make your summer feel like fun and a success for everyone. My daughter loves to write, so she was in charge of writing our giant summer bucket list. We had this big roll of paper, and everyone shouts out their ideas. So when you give your kids the chance to weigh in and actually write it down, you not only get great ideas for filling in the gaps in your plans, you also have an opportunity to meet the otherwise unspoken expectations. And honestly, the things they come up with are so sweet and doable. It is worth your time. My kids had things like a list of the places they wanted to go swimming, eating waffles, seeing a movie in the movie theater, catching fireflies, going to look at the stars, going bowling, inviting certain friends over. And honestly, all those little things are so meaningful to them, and they're meaningful to me too. So make a note so you can check them off throughout the summer, and at the end, you'll be able to look back and see all the fun things you did together. Ultimately, there are endless ways that you could spend your summer. So whether you schedule it all or you totally wing it, you're going to fill it somehow. So if you want to fill it in a way that will help you walk in peace, joy, and kindness, take a little time to collaborate with your family. You guys are your own little culture. So with a little planning and some teamwork, I know you can find the right balance for your crew so that you have your best summer yet.